Okay, so my continue my session now. Now I try to share my screen also. Okay, I hope my screen is also visible to all of you. Is it right or not? So my continue my session. Please respond through anyone short box. My continue my session. Yeah, okay. So and we are discussing about data abstraction. Okay, and another thing here uh, we try to identifying some of the responsibilities of DBA also, right? So in the last class we are discussing about all these things. So data model is nothing but used for to giving the description about the data. So easier description about the data. Okay, data models define how the logical structure of the database is modeled. So what is the meaning of logical data means nothing but what type of data is stored and what type of relationship it is like this. Okay, so here the data model means nothing but to modeling the data and we are giving some shape to the data. So and these are giving easier description to the end users. So here we are mainly based upon to the two basic models. They are nothing but a relational data model and another one is the ER data model. So a relational data model means nothing but set of relations. Nothing but the entire data can be represented as a set of columns and rows. Okay. Uh, and another thing here we are using SQL to retrieving the data and to storing the data, to update the data, to modifying the data. Am I right? So we also know about this. Okay, so this is the example for the relational data model. For example, in the exam point of view, asking about the relational data model. What is a relational data model? Then first of all, you try to say what is the relation. Relation means nothing but a table. Okay, and how we are creating the table. Okay, how we are inserting the data into the table, how we are modifying the data into the table. Okay, so in that type of you can explain about the SQL also. Okay, so that means better you try to achieve some grip on the DDL and DML commands. Okay, so why? Because if you know about those commands clearly with the syntax, so those are very helpful to elaborate the topics in the exam point of view. At the same time, so those are very helpful in the lab exam. At the same time, so those are also giving good scoring in the competitive exams also. So that's why I'm saying number of times. Okay, better you try to follow the commands we're already discussing in the last classes. Okay, DDL, DML, DCL and TCL commands. So all these are used for to maintain on the tables. So nothing but here we are representing the data in the form of relations. Okay, uh, here if we are observing the terminology, so these are the columns, attributes, okay, and tuples. Okay, and another one is the ER data model. ER data model is also we are discussing in the last classes. So the last unit is ER data model, am right? So ER data model means nothing but entity relationship data model. In that one, each and everything represented with some symbols. So we're already discussing about that. So for example, if it is a rectangle, strong entity; if it is a double rectangle, and a weak entity; if it is a dashed ellipse, derived attribute; if it is a double lines of the ellipse, multi-value attribute; if the ellipse having some parts, so those are nothing but composite attribute. I'm right. So in that type of way, here we are representing everything with the some symbols. Okay. So next one is the network data model. So in the case of network data model, it is also same like as the relational data model, but it is the connected by links. So these links can be viewed as a pointers here. Okay, so if you observe here, so the record can be having a relation with the another record through some links. Okay, so that is nothing but a network data model. In the case of hierarchical data model, we maintains the hierarchy. So we're already discussing about this. Just I'm giving the outline. So what is a hierarchical data model? What is a network data model? Why? Because this is very important in the exam point of view. So please remember all these questions. So the first one is nothing but data models, and second one is data abstraction, and third one is DDL and DML commands, and the fourth one is database structure. So these are the important questions from this unit. Okay, and this is the example for the hierarchical data model. So that means it is same appear like as a tree structure. So that means maintain some hierarchy. So root node and left node and child node like that. Okay. and we're also discussing about the ER model also. Okay, in the last class we are discussing about the view of data. So please remember this term also, keyword. So how we can view the data in the DBMS? That is, the actual question is explain the data abstraction in the DBMS. Okay, so that means here we are providing three types of data abstractions are there. So those are, the first one is physical level, and another one is the logical level, and another one is the external level. I think you see on the screen. Okay, so physical level concerns with how we are storing the data. Okay, how we are maintaining the indexes with the data, how we are retrieving the data. All right. So and another one is the logical level data. So in the case of logical level data, what type of data is stored into the database and what type of relationship is exist with the database. Okay, and another thing is the external level. Here we are providing different types of views. Okay, here we are providing different types of views from the same database. So that means here, according to the user requirement, which type of data is required to the user, only that type of data is provided to the users from the database. Okay. So in the type of way, here also we are providing three types of data abstraction here. Data abstraction means nothing but which is essential to the user. Only that type of data is sent to the users from the database. Okay. So please remember this. This is the important topic in the exam point of view. Okay. And if we are observe here, so physical schema, conceptual schema, and external schema. What is the schema? The design of the database is referred to as a schema, right? Okay. So in the case of physical schema, so when we are storing the data into the database, so how we are retrieving the data easily. So that can be referred as a physical schema. Okay. That means it will be stores the low level structure details. Okay. And hide the details also. Why? Because if anybody knows about the where the data is actually existed, so then maybe the chance losing the data or modifying the data or deleting the data. Am I right? So that's why using the physical schema to maintain the hide the details about the storage. So another one is the conceptual schema. So that means here we are maintaining the which type of data is stored and what type of data is considered. Okay, what type of relationship is there. So these type of things are considered. In the case of external schema, here according to the requirement, user requirement, here we are providing the data. Okay, so next one is the data independence. So this is also asking number of times in the exam point of view. So data independence means nothing but here we are maintaining the data in independent way. So that means if you are performing any type of the modifications in the lower level, so those type of modifications not giving any type of impact to the its higher level. So for example, if it is a physical data independence, actually here we are performing the modifications in the physical level. Okay, but those type of modifications not giving any type of impact to the its higher level of the logical level data abstraction. Okay, so that is nothing but a physical data independence. If it is a logical data independence, we are performing the modifications at a logical level, but those type of modifications are not giving the effect to the its higher level of the external level. Okay, so that is nothing but data independence. We are already discussed in the last classes, and we are consider some differences also. Okay, I think the same type of PPT is also available with you. Okay. Now, next topic is the DBMS structure. So this is the very important topic in this first unit. Okay, so definitely asking this question. So maybe without asking these questions, asking the paper from this unit. Okay, so that means in the case of first unit, file system versus DBMS and data models and data abstraction. And another one is the this one, DBMS structure. Okay, so these are the very important topics. So if you observe here, DBMS structure. So here we are consider the different types of users. In the last class also we are discussing about this. So if we are consider this, actually this is the four parts. So the first part is first line. So the first line will be referred to the types of users. Okay, different types of users interacting with the database. So those are interacting through the SQL commands. When the SQL commands are reached to the database query processor, okay, then the query processor will be executing in these four parts. So that means that query will be evaluated, and that query will be having some plan, and based upon the plan, it will be performing the execution. After executing that query, the results will be sent to the users at the same time. The same data will be available in the database. Then how we are retrieve the data when if any time of the situation is needed, then we can collecting through disk space manager or buffer manager. Okay, so these type of managers are used for to to retrieve the data from the database. So and transaction manager is nothing but used for uh, executing the transactions efficiently. So that means each and every operation will be identified in the DBMS by using transaction, and each and every transaction having some unique ID. So that's why if you are order any item, please wait 1 minute. Sorry for the disturbance. Okay, so that means whenever the type of the command will be reached to the query processor, then it will be performing the execution. Next, transaction manager is used for efficiently executing the transactions by the DBMS, and each and every transaction will be identified by using some transaction ID. And here lock manager is also used when we are allowing more than one transaction at a time. Okay, and another thing is the files and access method. So that means when we are storing the data into the DBMS, then files are also used to accessing the data from the DBMS. So that means here we are using different types of methods. So maybe sequential accessing or indexed accessing. So in the type of here we are using different types of access methods to retrieve the data from the database. Okay, and recovery manager purpose is whenever if any time of the situation occurring the crashes to the system, then recovery manager is responsible for to recover the data from the failures. So that is the main task of recovery manager. Okay, and if you are observing here database, so the last one, so that can be having the index files, data files, and system catalog. Okay, index files means nothing but when we are storing some data into the database, so the data in that database we should be including the some indexes. So those type of indexes are used for to retrieving the data quickly. Okay, and another thing here we are using some timestamps. Okay, some timestamps at the same time some checkpoints are used to storing the data. So based upon those checkpoints and timestamps, we can retrieve the data if any time of the situation occurring the failures. Okay, so this is about the description about the database structure. The DBMS accepts SQL commands generated from variety of user interfaces, produces query evaluation plans, execute these plans against the database, and return the answers. So this is about the only first line. Okay. The second one is okay. This is the simplification of SQL commands can be embedded in host language application programs. Example Java or COBOL programs. We ignore these issues to concentrate on the core DBMS functionality. So that means if we are up there here, so one is the web forms, and another one is the application front end, and another one is the SQL ends. So SQL interface. So whatever it may be. So here we are using some of the functionality of the SQL will be embedded into the some other application, or we are directly including that application. So these type of commands are executed by the query processor. Okay. So when a user issues a query, parsed query is presented to a query optimizer, which uses the information how the data is stored and produce efficient execution plan for the evaluating the query. So that means here, so whenever that query is presented to the query optimizer, then it will be sent to the evaluating the query. So then it will be based upon some execution plan. So an execution plan is nothing but a blueprint for evaluating the query and is usually represented as a tree of relational operators. So the code that implements relational operators sits on the top of files and access method layer. So that means here we are sending information about how we are storing the data. Okay, so this layer includes a variety of software for softwareing the concept of a file, which in a DBMS is a collection of pages or collection of records. This layer typically supports the heap file or unordered pages as well as indexes. So that means all these are related to the database storage. So the files and access methods layer code is on the top of the buffer manager. So I think the name is implies buffer manager means nothing but it will be used for to nothing but to maintain the some storage, which brings pages from the disk to main memory as needed response to the read request. So that means actually the database is nothing but a permanent storage. Okay. So if any time of the situation is needed, we can retrieve the data from disk to the main memory. So that type of the work will be done by using buffer manager. Next, disk space manager is also used for to retrieve the data from the disk to main memory. At the same time, main memory to the disk also. The lowest layer of the DBMS software deals with the management of space on the disk, where the data is stored. Higher layers allocate, deallocate, read and write pages through this layer called disk space manager. The DBMS supports concurrency and crash recovery by carefully scheduling users' requests by maintaining log of all changes to the database. DBMS components associated with concurrency control and recovery include the transaction manager, which ensures that transactions required and release the logs according to a suitable logging protocol and schedules the execution of transactions. Okay, so log manager is responsible for issuing the logs. So whenever more than one transaction so wants to share the same data. So at the time of the situation, we need to based upon the log manager. So that log manager will be identified. So which is initially requesting that particular shared data item. Then so maybe it will be reduced for to happening the occurrence of the deadlocks. Okay. Please wait, just wait on that. So up to now, we are discussing about DBMS structure. Okay. And the last topic of this chapter is three-tier architecture. Okay, so in the exam point of view also, for example, maybe if they're asking the question three-tier architecture. So please remember this here. Actually, one client is there and asking the data from the database. Okay, so that is nothing but a two-tier architecture. So that means, so initially some query is executed, then that query will be processed in the DBMS and results sent back to the users. That is nothing but a two-tier architecture. So if we are provide some other interface between them, so that is nothing but a three-tier architecture. I think you are able to see in the diagram now. So external level, conceptual level, physical level. This is also consider the exam for three layers of the architecture. Okay, so physical level, conceptual level, external level. So here also, so we can consider it is a three-tier architecture. Okay, here actually three types of architectures are there: one-tier architecture, two-tier architecture, and three-tier architecture. What is the meaning of one-tier architecture? So here we are directly executing the query on the DBMS. So then we are directly receiving the results. So that is nothing but a one-tier architecture. If it is a two-tier architecture, some clients, one client is there. The client is asking the details about the server. Then server will be provides the details to the clients. That is nothing but a two-tier architecture. So in the case of three-tier architecture, here we are using some other interface between the client and server. So that is nothing but a three-tier architecture. If you observe here, so one-tier architecture, in this architecture, the database is directly available to the user. It means the user can directly sit on the DBMS and uses it. So any changes done here were directly done by the DBMS itself. It does not provide any tool for the end users. So the one-tier architecture is used for development of the local application where programmers can directly communicate with the database for quick response. In the case of two-tier architecture, the two-tier architecture is same as basic client server. In the two-tier architecture, applications on the client end can directly communicate with the database at the server side. Okay, so at this for this interaction, so application programming interfaces like ODBC, JDBC are used. The user interface and application programs are run on the client side. The server side is responsible for to provide the functionalities like query processing, transaction management like that. To communicate with the DBMS client side, application establish connection with the server side. So if you observe here, so this is same like as client server architecture. For example, in the exam point of view, asking explain client server architecture, then also you can explain the two-tier architecture. Okay, so that means here if you observe, so one topic is related with the another topic. If you know about the concept clearly, we can elaborate the topics. So in some type of situations, maybe asking small questions for the 7 marks. Then how we can elaborate the answer? So with the help of concepts only, with the help of commands or queries or examples. So if you observe here, so two-tier architecture means, so initially client is asking some data from the server. Okay, so which is related to the database. For example, So whenever we try to retrieve some results from the database, sorry, Google. So how we retrieve the results? So initially we are logging to some particular system, particular university. Then we can enter the number. Then we can press the enter button. So then will we see our result, right? So here also doing the same thing. If you observe here, so client is asking the data to the server. Then server will be provide the required database functionality to the end user. So if we are providing any other thing between these two, so that is nothing but a three-tier. If you are observe here, so this is the three-tier architecture. Then what is the difference? So if you are observe here, so some of the interfaces provided between the client and server. So that means here, here the client will be nothing but processed through some interface. So if the through the interface only he will be connected. So if you observe here, so user or client, then GUI, graphical user interface or presentation layer. So that will be connected to some application layer that will be connected to the DBMS. So that means here we are using more than one. So if we are in this type of here we are maintaining any number of interfaces between the client and server. So that will be referred as a client server architecture. Okay. Next one is the centralized and client server architecture for the DBMS. Okay. So now just to try to see, three-tier architecture contains another layer between the client and server. In this architecture, client can't directly communicate with the server. The application run on the client and interacts with an application server, which further communicates the database system. Please just wait 1 minute. Okay. Okay, if you are observe here, so this is nothing but a three-tier architecture. So that means here we are providing so another layer between the client and server. So that is nothing but a three-tier architecture. For example, if it is an entire architecture, we can place any number of layers. So more than one layer between the so n number of interfaces, if n number of interfaces between the client and server. So that is nothing but a entire architecture. Okay, so don't get confused. So if it is a three-tier architecture, you can write also data abstraction. There is no wrong actually. So why? Because so one topic is related with the another topic. Okay. Uh, if you observe here, so in the three-tier architecture contains another layer between the client and server. In this architecture, client can't directly communicate with the server. So why? Because okay, why? Because here we are providing some interface. The application on the client end interacts with an application server, which further communicates with the databases. And user has no idea about the existence of the database beyond the application server. So the database also has no idea about any other beyond the application. The three-tier architecture used in case of large web application. Okay. And next topic is centralized and client server architectures of the DBMS. I think the name is implies. So if it is a centralized database architecture, so that is nothing but here maintaining the database in centralized position. So then the data can be accessed from so different types of users. So but here we can't access from everywhere. So that is the drawback for centralized database. And in the case of client server architecture for the DBMS, so we can access from anywhere. So same like as our Google. So for example, we can see our results from anywhere. Okay. So just to try to see now. So this is the centralized database. So that means here, we are observing here more than one client is there to access the data from the some centralized database. Okay. And another thing is, okay, if you are observing here, say, but if it is a client server architecture, same thing, same like this. So that means here number of clients connected through some network, and they can able to performing the functionality from anywhere. So centralized and decentralized, so we can access from anywhere. So there is nothing but a so client server architecture. Okay, so all of you please wait, just wait, I will continue my session after some time.